What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Godly Potential YouTube channel. Back at you with another video. You know, I remember when I was taking classes to receive my life coaching certification. I don't really remember the question that was posed. However, I do remember responding to the question or giving examples of something. I don't really remember the particulars. However, I do remember writing about not feeling like an adult, even though I had already technically been an adult. You know, once you get 18, technically an adult for, 10 plus years. See, I will be 30 November of this year, okay? So technically, by that, I have been an adult for, what was that, 12 years? Technically. However, I didn't necessarily feel like an adult. And I know there's several of you out there who feel the same. Because it's like, you still kind of feel like a kid. It's like, once you're 18, you still a teenager. 18, 19, you're still a teenager. 20, okay, it's like, you're not a teen anymore, but you're not old enough to drink technically. Or, hell, you can't even buy tobacco products anymore. 21 hits, okay, now you're legal to drink, go to bars and whatnot. Even though you had already been doing it before that. You can now drink legally. You can now purchase tobacco products legally. But then from that point, from 20 to, or 21 until really to the mid 20s, you're just really entering the real world, I would say. However, in my experience, and I know several of you can relate, you don't really feel like an adult though. You look out into the world, you see other people, either your peers, your age, older, whatever, and you assume that they feel a certain type of way. And so you look at yourself and you go, man, like, they got their life figured out, or they're doing all these adult things, and I don't feel like an adult. I'm still going to ask my parents for all the answers. I'm still incompetent on so many different things. I don't know the answers to so many things in this life. I don't feel like an adult. And honestly, it wasn't until recent, until it really clicked in me, where I no longer felt like an adult. It's like the child healed so the man can be born, you know? And these are the few things that I've noticed helped me with this. So, if you are like myself and you don't feel like an adult, listen to this. It may assist you. So the first thing is, you have to stop relying on your parents for all the answers. Like, I remember a couple years ago, I got into a car wreck. And the first thing I did, I didn't call law enforcement. No, I called my mother. Because since a kid, you always run to your parents, right? Hey, mom, hey, dad, this, and that. Essentially, help me take over this situation, because I don't feel competent enough to do so myself. And so afterwards, I remember thinking, like, why did I call her first thing, you know? I can call her later, because back then, you know, we're on the same insurance, and I was actually right up the road from her house, so I could have then. But the initial thing should have been like, okay, I'm going to handle this, and then I'm going to fill her in on what happened. So quit running to your parents for everything. If your parents are paying for certain bills you get rid of that. Take on that responsibility yourself. They're paying your car note. Figure out a way to take on that responsibility. And this is only if you want to feel like an adult, you know? That's only if you actually want to grow fully. You have to become self-reliant. If your parents are paying your car note, paying your car insurance, paying your phone bill, paying this and that, right? They're paying off your debt. You will always, from my experience, you will never fully become a self-sufficient, a self-reliant adult. So that's the first thing. No longer depend on or rely on your parents for things that you can either look up the answer for, instead of saying, oh my goodness, this just happened, I don't know how to handle it. Go learn. You got Google on your phone. Google it. Look for the answer. You don't always have to run to your parents. Because I tell you what, once you start having kids, once you get into a relationship or something, and if your partner comes to you, your girl comes to you, if your kids come to you for answers, they expect you to give them the answers. So you can go look up the answer. Don't go run to your parents, because you are the one that's supposed to be, or you are now an adult. So seek out the answers yourself. You don't always have to go ask your parents for everything. It's like, because I remember growing up, I didn't even like making phone calls. So I'll be like, hey mom, can you make this doctor's appointment for me? Or can you call this place, call this restaurant and place an order for me? Now this was like years ago when I was a lot younger. But still, you have to become self-reliant. Depend on yourself. It's going to build more confidence in yourself so you can handle more things within this life. And it's going to ultimately allow you to grow and flourish. Because also, the thing is, whenever you're around your parents and that dynamic is going on, I have noticed that you tend to return back to that child because they're your parents. So you take on a child's energy, as in they are senior, so I must bow down to them, so they know better than I do, which is not always the case. It's definitely not the case if you want to be a self-reliant, a self-sufficient adult. Okay, so that's the first thing. Do not rely on your parents for everything, or just someone else. The next thing that I've noticed is take on responsibility. Men, or boys turning to men, you must take on responsibility in order to become a man, in my opinion. It's not until you take on responsibility, it's not until you, let's say you're in the military, you go for that rank of a sergeant, then you get troops and you experience that. It's not until you take all those bills on yourself and you got to figure out a way to pay them. It's not until you take that leadership role at your work and now you're responsible for these people, and you also have to answer to people above you. It's not until you take on those responsibilities, not until you have a child, you have to take care of this child. It's not until you have parents or you have family members or loved ones who have certain conditions that warrant your help and aid and assistance. It's not until you take on those responsibilities until you actually grow up. You get rid of that whole Peter Pan notion of be a kid forever, live in Never Never Land. No. Take on some responsibility. I just, what to say? I think it's coming on 2 years now. Has it been? A year and a half. I believe it's coming on 2 years. No, it's coming on a year, actually. So, a year ago, I took on this leadership role at my job. Now, the part of me wanted to do it because I didn't, and I regretted it. I didn't take on leadership roles as much within the military when I was in. You know, I was like, nope, I don't want the responsibility. Nope, don't want the headache. But it's not now. It's only now when I realized that actually taking on this leadership role, it develops certain traits within you. I believe it turns on certain genetics within you. That's why I say, men, take on responsibility, because it's unlocking certain genes within you. Epigenetics states that your environment can essentially turn on different genes. Your gene expression is dictated by your environment. So environmental situations, environmental pressures will turn on certain genes. All of a sudden you realize, hey, I'm actually not that bad at public speaking. Hey, I'm actually very charismatic. I'm actually good at planning ahead. I'm actually good at organization. But it's very difficult to understand this and realize that this can turn on and the other ones will tend to turn off. So take on some responsibility. This is going to allow you to grow up. And these really are the two main things that I've noticed. Quit relying on your parents and take on responsibility. These things are going to allow you to grow up, become that adult, turn boys into men, girls into women. Take on some responsibility. And I can guarantee you, you will slowly begin to actually feel like a fucking adult. You will no longer feel like a little kid, because these aren't little kids' things. Little kids rely on others. Okay? Little kids don't want responsibility. They just want to be whimsical and go with the flow of everything. Not saying that everybody's meant to be in a leadership role, but I honestly think that men should embrace leadership roles. It's only going to help you. It's only going to help you. It is only going to help you. Because your environment will turn on certain genes that you already have within you. That junk DNA that they say we have, that alien gene DNA, it's only genes that aren't being turned on. And the genes through epigenetic states, and the genes are turned on through the environment. You know? And just like that, I've also heard that testosterone is an as-needed hormone. So that also goes to show you, if you're living a nice, comfortable experience, you're not going through any challenges, any stress or anything, there's no need for that testosterone to be as pumping as high through your system, because it's an as-needed hormone. It's kind of similar to the genes. They pretty much are determined by the environment. So if you take on more stress, more labor, more responsibility, it's going to ramp it up. Those genes are going to turn on. You're going to become a better man, a better woman, a better adult, or an adult, period. So quit relying on your parents. Quit running them for every single thing. Try to figure it out. If they're an expert or something, yeah, go to them. You know, ask for their help. But don't ask for them to do it for you. Ask them to teach you how to do it. So then next time you don't have to do it. You got to, whatever, I'm not going to go down that route. But just quit relying on them for everything. And take on some responsibility. It's only going to improve you. It's only going to make you better. Hope that this video was helpful. If it was, be sure to thumbs it up, share, comment, do all that good stuff. Until next time, I am out. Peace.